I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, we're fucked. Because I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Warner Brothers deciding to sell has me extremely concerned and worried for the future of our industry. Let me explain. In case you've been role-playing Patrick Star's life and you've been living under a rock, today Warner Brothers announced that they are now officially considering acquisition offers, aka they're open for business to the highest bidder. This comes just 3 years after Discovery decided to merge with Warner Media to become Warner Brothers Discovery. And you knew from the moment this happened, David Zaslav was just looking at this from a business perspective. Buy low, sell high. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, this merger actually resuscitated a dead body in Warner Brothers. The previous regime was like actively trying to run the studio into the ground. I don't know if y'all remember when the pandemic hit, but they were releasing their films day and date on streaming and in theaters, which just never made sense and led to so much money being lost that of course they had no choice but to sell. So I never really saw the fact that they were selling as a surprise. I always felt like that was the ultimate end game for Zaslav. But what has me concerned is who they might sell to. We already know that Paramount came on strong and placed a bid to purchase Warner Brothers, which was ultimately rejected not once but 2 times. It's clear they want as much competition for this bid as possible. And there's actually quite a few candidates that could potentially step up to the plate to purchase Warner Brothers. I already mentioned Paramount, but also Netflix and Comcast. I could also see Apple TV, which rebranded from Apple TV Plus, by the way, throwing their hat in the ring and acquiring Warner Brothers film and TV assets, but not their networks. And yes, that includes everyone's favorite up-and-coming prospect studio, DC Studios. And what I'm about to say is very important. Do I want Warner Brothers to be bought by Netflix? Just take a gander at my not-so-subliminal messaging. Fuck no! Netflix is actively trying to kill the theater experience, and have had multiple executives state that streaming is better than theaters. Now, to some people that might be true, but to me, fuck no. Yeah, you want to watch Sinners in 70mm IMAX? Psych! Netflix gonna say enjoy watching this shit on your iPod the way Ryan Coogler intended. Can you imagine loading up Netflix in 2079 and watching the Batman Part 2 when it releases? Something's in my ass, and it's shit! Don't even get me started on what this would do to the Snyder bots. This would just add more fuel to the fire because we already know Netflix and Zack Snyder have a tight relationship. And low-key, him getting to continue on his Justice League trilogy on Netflix would just be the fucking most hilarious outcome to this timeline. That's some reverse Flash shit. It was me, Barry! Now, something that does give me a little bit of hope is the fact that Netflix has been toying with limited releases of their films, and apparently the series finale of Stranger Things will actually be released in theaters after them saying they weren't going to release it. So could this be a sign for more changes to come from Netflix's business model? In the wise words of Kodak Black, I hope so. But this also makes me extremely sad from a physical media perspective, because outside of Netflix's biggest hits like Stranger Things, The Haunting of Hill House, which get limited physical releases, they come few and far between. As a matter of fact, I don't think any of Fincher's movies that have released on Netflix, like Mank the Killer, have received a physical release. Or Hitman for that matter. I'm gonna say this once so you understand it. Physical media is way better than streaming. It ain't even fucking close. And you actually own that movie as opposed to the license. If you're wondering why I haven't brought up Walt Disney as a potential suitor to buy Warner Brothers, it's because that shit would have the same outrage as KD going to the Warriors. And as a matter of fact, they might veto that fucking trade like they did with Chris Paul and the Lakers. Because at that point, Walt Disney would be a monopoly and they would have too many precious IP. And while they wouldn't go bankrupt, they would go creatively bankrupt. It's not healthy for one studio to own all this IP. We already see it with Disney a little bit with Marvel, Star Wars, etc. Spreading it out and having competition is always better for a creative perspective. So who do I want them to sell? I mean, personally, I wish they just wouldn't sell. I feel like they're doing fine. They only have one place to go but up, especially after having an incredible year in 2025. But if they do sell, I hope Comcast wins the bid. In case you don't know, Universal is actually a subsidiary of Comcast. Jurassic Park, Jordan Peele's movies, Fast and Furious, etc. So could you imagine them getting the rights to DC Studios? I mean, they already have the park rights for Harry Potter, which is owned by Warner. Just think about it from that business sense. Adding DC characters to Universal. Plus, this also might incentivize Universal to finally sell off their distribution rights to the Hulk and Namor for Marvel. That would just be a +1. But if I was Universal, I would be stingy as hell and be like, ha, you could make those movies, but we gonna get some of that cut. Regardless, things are getting very, very interesting in the industry, and I'm hoping and praying the outcome is a reasonable one. But let me know what you think about this news down in the comments below, and as always, like and follow for more.